Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What a start right away as soon as we start. Technical difficulties, but I think we're good to go. Episode 10, Risk It for the Biscuit podcast. That's crazy, man. 2 months of this, and we're going strong. Um, yeah, what's today? Is today still March 27th, Monday, as always. And we're back talking about stuff, anything and everything. Um, a couple things, I guess, to talk. I've been this whole past week kind of just adjusting back to normal life a little bit, and trying to get my sleep back on schedule as well. I didn't realize how big of a difference, like from a 12-hour difference would be, how hard that'd be to get back adjusted to. But man, it was rough the first couple days, because we came back and it was evening, so I went to sleep and like, okay, I'll be fine. But man, when like 4 o'clock hits, it's crazy because the 12-hour difference, that's different. That's difficult. That's literally like if it's 4 p.m. here, 4 a.m. in Singapore, so your body's completely messed up, discombobulated, all that. But yeah, man, what a time to be alive. A lot of crazy stuff happening, a lot of good stuff happening. Um, Man, almost done with school. Almost done with school. We got like this week and then 4 weeks after that. And it's kind of crazy. I am very excited to be done. My willingness to study and do homework and to prepare and all that stuff has gone out the window. So I need to refocus. Uh, so I do graduate and pass all my classes. But man, such an interesting time because, usually, or like the thought process is, graduate college and everything's exciting, new beginnings and stuff like that. But I feel like in the world today, everything is so uncertain. So honestly, it's a little difficult. Um, and I tried to be optimistic, positive. I believe in God. I believe He has a plan, and I try my best to stay focused on that. And but man, just some of the stuff, going around, and I probably should be less. I got a book in Singapore actually. I think it says, I forgot the title of it. It's a pretty small book, but it's something about not reading the news, and so. But that's my thing. It's like you kind of have to pick your path and kind of stick to it, right? Either you choose to just live life one day at a time and you know focus on that, keep it simple, and kind of almost be ignorant in a way on purpose in order to kind of I guess stay sane. um, and what's they say? They say ignorance is bliss, right? The less you know, the better you sleep. So I feel like you either kind of choose to live that path, um, or you choose to read and uh, look into things. And for me, I just like it interests me. I don't know. It's kind of a double edged sword because I get interested in it. I start reading about it, and then it kind of is like, oh man, I should not be reading this, or I should not be looking into this because it kind of is depressing. Um, but it's okay. I mean, what are we gonna do, right? I know I always kind of had this mindset too. It's like, what's gonna happen, right? Like, um, in terms of like America and just the world, right? And it's like I think a lot of people have this understanding, right? Like if America goes down, I think it's kind of GG's, right? Like for everyone. And in order to kind of, you know, keep myself mentally okay, it's like, if that does happen, we'll have a lot bigger problems to worry about than, goals and investments and all that. So I try to just be positive. We'll be all right. Everything's gonna be all right. Everything's gonna be great. Um, but yeah, man. Um, I know I've talked about this already, but just like this past week has made me realize it even more. Um, that whole thing with momentum. the whole concept of when you get into a groove, to stay into the groove. Because once I came back from Singapore, man, last week it was hard to, like, I guess, be like, to want to do stuff, you just because you spent a whole week kind of just traveling, chilling. I did work, I did some stuff, like, wasn't just completely lazy, but kind of to switch back into being at a very high level. It takes some time. Um, so yeah, I would recommend, once you get into that groove, you better stay on that groove. I just remembered I was saying last episode, we're gonna have a co-host and then all that. It just hasn't worked out. That was part of it, and my plan was to get everything set up and going. But in my attempt to kind of get back to being productive and to get back to, um, I guess, working and all that, it did not happen. I was caught up in other things and just honestly being lazy. But nonetheless, we're still here. We're still at it. One thing I think I forgot to mention last week too, and this is one of the things I kind of wanted to start out today's episode with, was um, traveling. And this is just one, maybe this is just, I guess, me, but um, it's kind of surprising, or I guess this was frustrating too. And this is something I noticed in terms of, like, professionalism from people, right? I feel like a lot of people are okay with just being sloppy. Um, and this is just one example. It might be kind of funny, but when you go through the line, the TSA line, I realized, like, it frustrated me so bad. This time specifically. I don't know why, but it's like, man, And the thing is, I want to be as efficient as possible, you know, so that way the person behind me is not being backed up, like, so that way I'm not holding them back in a way. So I want to be as smooth, as quick, as efficient through this TSA check line as possible. And so I would hope that the person in front of me was thinking the same thing, right? I don't want to inconvenience this individual behind me. And I guess this whole thing, I'm talking about airport traveling etiquette, man. Oh, it blows my mind. And I get it, some people don't travel that much, and it's not like I'm a I don't travel that much either, but I have some experience. Um, and it's like, I just wish it's like people would kind of keep that in mind, when they're on a plane or they're going through TSA or whatever. Like, I try to be a smooth machine, bro. First of all, it's gotta be strategized, right? um, and this is, if you've never been on a plane, this could potentially help you whenever you do on a plane. Wear something like sweatpants, joggers, because a belt is just an extra thing you gotta take into account when you're going through that TSA line. Make you take off the belt. For some reason nowadays they don't really make you take off shoes, at least in Atlanta, but keep that in account. Shoes you can on and off, boom, boom. All right, it's got to be smooth. It's got to be quick. All right, no belt. If you're gonna wear a jacket, wear a hoodie. They make you take the jacket off. They don't make you take the hoodie off. Okay, little things, but it makes you quick. Boom, boom, boom. All right, you got your electronics, right? Laptop. You already know that when you're walking up to the line, bro. It just boggles my mind. You walk up, I don't know, you're fumbling through your bag. Nah, bro. I know my things in it. If I don't gotta take my shoes off perfect, I'm taking my bag off as I'm walking up. Boom. When it's my turn, I grab the little basket. Boom. Gotta be quick, quick, quick. And the thing is, you gotta pay attention. This is the one part. Get off your phone. If you're walking with somebody, stop talking to them. Just focus. If we just do this quick, we'll be on our way and everything will be fine. I was just amazed at the amount of people that's just like taking forever, fumbling through their stuff. And the only reason it upsets me is because I think, okay, I'm gonna do a service to the person behind me. I'm gonna be quick. I'm gonna be efficient. I'm gonna get it done. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna get through this line so that way the person behind me is good to go. So I would just kind of hope that the person in front of me is a little bit considerate of that as well. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. Um, but yeah, man, you learn a lot. You realize a lot when you travel too, or at least when you fly. Got to be kind to people. Treat people like you want to be treated. You know, that was another thing I realized. It was like crazy. I mean, again, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but like, I try to be considerate. I think this also comes from working in places like fast food restaurant, and then I work at Home Depot, right? So retail, right? When you work in a job like that, you kind of come into contact with more people. So whenever you go to public places, when you go to a fast food restaurant, when you go to a store, you kind of have a different perspective on things, right? Like I hate going to stores and just mm, leaving stuff that it's not supposed to be there, right? Because I don't know, it's just I feel like that's inconveniences others, like the employees, And I guess it is a little bit of a cultural thing. I just thought about the World Cup. I think it was the Japanese team. They when they played the World Cup game afterwards in the locker room, they cleaned up the locker room. They kept everything nice and neat. Maybe it's a cultural thing. I don't know. But what I noticed, I'm bringing all this up to say when we flew right, and then we got off. It was a long flight. I get it was a long flight, but then just like walking out of the plane, it's like some people's seats are just so messy, man. Like you got wrappers. I saw like food. I was like, man, like that's gross. Like, well, first of all, you're sitting there in that seat for like 13 hours, man. You know, maybe I'm just a clean freak a little bit, but like keep your area clean, man. You know, you got 13 hours, and then the flight attendants are like they gotta deep clean that plane after. And I get it, they're gonna clean it as well, like anyway, I guess, because that's like their protocol. But those flight attendants walk up and down multiple times to pick up trash. You know, I don't know. Just me personally, I don't. I feel like if it's my trash, I gotta take it with me. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Um, yeah, man. I feel like they got to teach a course on plane etiquette, airport etiquette. You know what I mean? Like one pet peeve. Okay, so that's one. Another one is when the plane lands, people get up right away. Like, homie, what are you doing? What are you doing? I get it. You've been sitting for a while. That's part of the reason everything's about strategy, right? You got to get an aisle seat, my guy. Aisle seat, you can get up and walk, stretch your legs out. You know what I mean? I can't sit down for 10 hours, bro. You got to get up, you got to move a little bit. But people, as soon as the plane lands, first of all, they say, you can't, they say don't stand up until the plane stops, right? That's the first thing. And it's like as soon as the plane pulls in, everybody's getting up, getting their bags. Like, we got at least another 10 minutes in here, bro. Like, sit down. It's not like you're going to get your bag and zoom to the front. You got to wait for everybody in front of you to move anyway. You know what I mean? So, I don't get that. Don't get that at all. Um, they got to teach a course or something. Maybe I should make a course. Proper plane etiquette, bro. I don't know. That part I don't think is cultural either. That's everywhere. That's in America. People do that. And I mean, I was surprised when you go to wherever we went, Qatar, then Singapore. Everybody does that. Just get up and walk. Yeah, you gotta wait, man. You gotta wait. I'm in a rush. The best part, or like one of the best things, and this happened last time, is when you're sitting in the back of the plane, like me usually, um, and you know you're waiting to leave after you land, and out of nowhere, the flight attendant gets like, "Oh, you guys can go out through this door." That's like the best feeling. It's the little things, man. It's the little things. And another thing was interesting throughout the this last flight. It was one of the first flights where we experienced turbulence, and I was just chilling. Like I thought it was fun. Usually turbulence scares me, and I think one of the reasons that I was kind of chilling with it was because what's it called? On my flight to Denver, I think a month ago or 2 months ago, I was sitting next to the security guard for Frontier, and we had some pretty bad turbulence. And I just asked him, I was like, "Oh, like what's like the worst turbulence?" I was talking, whatever. Like, what's the worst turbulence? Like, is there any time you've ever been scared? He says, "No, I'm never really scared. Um, I'm never." He's like, "I've never really been scared because turbulence. There's nothing really that can happen during turbulence." I was like, I don't know. When when that boy's shaking, it feels like something might happen. If you've been through some bad turbulence, But he basically the way he explained it to me is the plane is essentially just two parts, right? You just got the wings going like this across, and then the body of the plane. I was like, dang, I never really thought about that. Like he's like, there's nothing that can happen that can, in the air at least. It's like that's interesting. But I think knowing that, like when we flew into turbulence on the way to I think Qatar, I was kind of just chilling. I was like, oh yeah, man, nothing's gonna happen, whatever, no big deal. It was surreal though. It was the weirdest feeling flying because we flew over Europe, and it's like, ah, it made me think like, man, I'm flying right now over. I forget, maybe we flew over France and then Italy. I know we flew over Italy for sure. It's like I'm flying over Italy over a peaceful sky, headed to Qatar, then to Singapore, and it's like just a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 miles to the side. There's war, and there's a sky over there that's not peaceful and not open. It was a very very weird feeling, man, and just like being so close. I missed Ukraine, bro. I'm thankful I went in 2019 because that was fun. But I wish I could go again. I miss my family and I miss friends. I miss the country. It's a it's a very cool place. I wish it was just not what's going on now, unfortunately. But it'll be all right. I don't know. I feel like I've been rambling. We'll get this all figured out soon, as far as quality podcast wise. All right. Um, things around the world. Wall Street Journal. If you as I started this off by talking about you shouldn't read the news, but if you do read the news, oh wow, okay. Um, one of the articles I just saw. I'm talking about the Wall Street Journal, right? Um, I think a lot of people, especially that I listened to, Patrick Bet David, some other, had a couple professors that are big into the Wall Street Journal. It's one of the, I think, in my opinion, too, it's a very good news source at the moment. I don't really see as much bias. They seem to be pretty straight down the middle, and they just kind of present the news. And so that's the news place where I'm looking at right now. But what was interesting here, one article, if you've been following this, Alibaba co-founder Jack Ma returns to China. And this just caught my eye. I did a school presentation on it like last week, And wow, I didn't even know he was gone. I knew that there was a point in time there. I think he spoke out against the Chinese government, and he just disappeared. I didn't realize that he was not in China. But anyway, what I was gonna talk about? What I mentioned, what I saw here this morning on the first page, is the protests in Israel. Um, the unrest there. Apparently, the prime minister is trying to either shut down some sort of change that they were going to make, or he's trying to make a change. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, they're protesting there. There's unrest, um, and I think, for me personally, right, from like a Christian biblical perspective, and I think like about a year ago, I was interested in biblical prophecy and how it's taking place today, if it's playing out today. Um, I don't know. To me, that's the most interesting thing. Is like there's a lot of Old Testament prophecy. I'm interested to see where in history they took place, because there's a lot of prophecies that have already been fulfilled, um, and then as well as like what's gonna take place, right? Because we believe that there's a lot of prophecy that is going to happen, and especially referring to the words of Jesus. But as I was looking into prophecy and stuff like that, one of the things, so one of the guys that's like kind of an expert on it, he mentioned that we have to kind of pay attention to Israel, right? What goes on in Israel, it kind of is a telling factor, and I feel like Israel's been in the news more and more as of late. A lot of stuff going on over there. It's just interesting. How does this, kind of play into all of that? Um, it's going to be interesting to see overall. Yeah, he threatened a judicial overhaul. Apparently threatened the economy and national security. Anyway, so we got to keep an eye on Israel. Oh yeah, he said we got to keep an eye on Israel. If you look at Revelation and end time prophecy, it's all kind of centered and focused around Israel. And he said, I think this was Rod Parsley said, we don't see America in the end time prophecies at all. So that is interesting to think about as well. Okay, another article, and this one caught my eye. It's a Wall Street Journal news exclusive, and the title of it made me think a little about Singapore. Yeah, let me explain. It says Americans pull back from values that once defined U.S. Wall Street Journal poll finds. And the subtitle says patriotism, religion, and hard work hold less importance. Said only 38% said patriotism was very important to them. Patriotism, religious faith, having children, other priorities that help define the national character for generations are receding in importance to Americans, is what this poll finds. Wow, community involvement is down from 62 to 27%. Wow. And that's just crazy to me, interesting. Man, pulls back. I'm just kind of blown away by those numbers. But it's wild that that's like being noticed. And that's one thing I noticed being in Singapore, is that patriotism is actually very high. People are proud to be from Singapore, and it was very encouraging, very inspiring, and it was one thing that I kind of took away, and I wished like that I could kind of take that feeling and have other people kind of, I guess, experience it, feel it, you know. And I guess the popular narrative nowadays has been, America is a bad country, right? Made mistake, like all this stuff that has been pushed I think primarily by the left, has been pushed so bad that it's almost like the sense is like an American flag equals far right, and it's like that's not what that's supposed to mean, man. That's oh man, I'm kind of scrambling my thoughts here, but I wish that we as the people, right, of America, as Americans, could kind of get back to that, man. I remember there was a time where we used to be proud uh, to be American. Of course, I was young, but since when did patriotism and nationalism, all that stuff, when did that become bad? And people say, oh, like our politicians, like what our country did. I mean, yeah, but you know what situation comes to mind when people say, "Oh, our politicians are horrible. Like, look what we did here. Look at our history." There was a situation. I think it was in 2012 or no, maybe 2013, 14. The Clippers are in the playoffs. Los Angeles Clippers are playing in the playoffs. This is when Lob City, right? This is Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, that Clippers team. And it comes out, oh, that's what's his name? Donald Sterling, I think was his name. And it comes out, right, that he was racist and all that stuff. Those phone calls, I think with his girlfriend or something, they get leaked, and everyone finds out he's racist, and he of course ends up being forced to sell the team. Um, but the difficult part there was the Clippers. I believe they were like a top 3 seed in the West, and people are like, oh, what should they do, right? Like, what should the players do? And there was a lot of debate, right? Like they shouldn't play, they should, you know, kind of, protest, um, stuff like that. And just I remember on ESPN and a lot of like, sports shows, it was kind of debated. What should they do? What's the best option here? And I remember I want to say this was Stephen A. Smith. And I think that they ended up with a lot of stuff they ended up doing. They, flip their warm ups inside out. They wouldn't show the logos of the Clippers, stuff like that. But I believe it was Stephen A. Smith. He said, when these guys are growing up hoping to win NBA championships, they're not thinking about winning it for the owner. You know what I mean? They're not considering the owner in that process. They want to win for their teammates. They want to win for each other. They want to win for the city. They want to win and represent their families, their communities where they're from. Right? That's the thought process when it goes to winning an NBA championship. So I think Stephen A. Smith said, you know, they should go out and they should win the trophy, and then they should throw it into the Pacific Ocean. That's what he said. Right? You should win it. You should go out, try to win it. And of course, I don't think they won it. They definitely didn't win it because Chris Paul still doesn't have a championship. But anyway, and that's kind of my thought process too. Um, our politicians should not dictate whether we love this country or not. You know what I mean? Who cares about the politics? Yeah, they're corrupt. I wish there was a way that we could, I mean, other than voting, but I think the system is kind of corrupt and all that. But they don't necessarily represent, like, okay, yeah, they represent the people because we voted them in. I get that. I get that. I get that. But I'm saying, like, the narrative is they don't kind of control, they do control it. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that America is the people. America is your neighbor. America is your family, right? That's America. And I just wish that we as Americans, we would be united, that we would love one another, that we would be proud, to be living here together. That's what I miss. You know what I mean? And I think and if you want to get conspiratorial, right, then that's a perfect strategy, right? Like if you wanted to just control the people, How would you do it? You would make them mad at one another. You would make their issue, you'd polarize them, bring them completely opposite. But when we're together, oh, it's such a beautiful thing. And I know maybe I'm speaking like just so hopefully and, romanticizing it or whatever you want to say. But we should get back. Like, I wish there was something that could get us back, right? To patriotism, to working hard. That's the sense that I got in Singapore, man. You pull up to the airport and all the workers there, everybody's working hard. Everybody's proud to be from Singapore. Everybody's happy to be from Singapore. Everybody talking about, oh, this is how good we have it. This is good. This is good. And of course, I guess it takes both, right? Because the sense that I get from Singapore as well was that people really have faith in their government. So I understand that when the government's working well and everything's relatively well, I think it is easier to um, it is easier to be content and be happy and have patriotism. But I also think if we were, if we as a people were more united, um, then we could hold our representatives a little bit more accountable. Because when we're divided and our issues are so polarized, right? The argument from both sides is, oh, we're fighting for you versus them, right? Versus them. But it's like, and it's all, everything is kind of singled out as to single issue things. But if the people were united and we can kind of put pressure on all of them together, then that would be, I think, cool. Yeah. And religion as well, man. That's another thing, you know. People want to say get away from all this stuff, right? Get away from religion. We don't need it. We don't need patriotism. They take God out of schools, all this stuff. But all these values, hard work, all these values, they really are what built America. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how. I don't have the the solutions, but I just wish. I don't know. I just love America, man. I find it interesting that most people that have problems with America were born here. Very rarely do you find people that immigrated here that are complaining like, y'all don't know what you have, man. Like, do you understand, in America, the level of sports here? Like, you can make a living if you are talented enough, if you work hard enough, you can make a living and provide for your family playing a sport. And of course, yes, there's other places in the world you can do that. But for most sports, you come here. Basketball, people come here. Baseball, people come here. Okay, obviously soccer is not as established here yet, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But still, there's money in all these sports. Where else in the world do you have that? You know what else is an indicator to me that America is the best place in the world? The collectibles market. People make full-time livings providing for their family off old stuff. You know what I mean? People collect things in America. How good you have to have it to collect things. So you have more than enough of the stuff that you need, so you collect stuff. Pieces of cardboard with pictures of athletes have value to them. That's insane, bro. That is insane. I still think America is the best place in the world. And I just think we need to get back to what made us the best place in the world. Everybody says, "Oh, when was America great?" Are you kidding me, man? Are you kidding me? When was America great? This is, in the words of Patrick Bet-David, right? This is the greatest case study in history. We got to get back to that, man. I think there's still better days ahead for America, but you got to stop worrying about the wrong stuff. You got to stop worrying about the wrong stuff. Get back to what made you great. Get back to it. Come on. If you see this, man, love your country, love your neighbors, work hard. That's the only options, man. Talk to God. Man, try to, like, that's what made this country, bro. Said no, no, it wasn't. It wasn't. Go read. You know what? I was getting my uh, carry license, and in the government courthouse or wherever, the county, the city courthouse, there's there's a picture of, I believe it was the Mayflower comp. Let me find it. Oh, actually, I want to read it. Mayflower compact. There you go. Check this out. Let me see if it has the, if I can find the original text. There we go. Check this out. This is the Mayflower Compact. I believe this is the document that they made before they. Here, I'll read it. Originally titled "Agreement Between the Settlers of New Plymouth," was the first governing document of Plymouth Colony. It was written in. Oh man, when was it written? This is the document that they wrote before they first settled in America, right? Let's see. Created in 1620. This is one of the first colonies. I want to say the first, but I'm not too sure. But this is what they wrote. In the name of God, amen. We whose names are underwritten, the loyal subjects of our dread sovereign Lord King James, by the grace of God, of Great Britain, France, and Ireland, blah, 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 blah. And here you go. Having undertaken for the glory of God and advancement of the Christian faith. Whoo. Solemnly mutually in the presence of God and one another, combine ourselves into civil body politic for our better ordering and preservation and furtherance of the ends of aforesaid. Boom, boom, boom. So they created these laws from time to time. Yeah. So that was one of the first things that they wrote in this document before they settled, before they came into America, right? I believe, oh man, where was Plymouth? I think it was Virginia, right? Man, I need to learn more about this, but that's what they said. That was the original goal of America, man. The glory of God and advancement of the Christian faith. Talking about no, America is not that. Is America perfect? No. Has America made mistakes? Absolutely. Are there parts of history that are absolutely horrible? Yes. Please find me a civilization, a nation, a people, uh, anything, anybody who has 100% perfect, never made a mistake, who never treated people poorly, who never made questionable decisions, who never made horrible decisions. Find me that. You probably can't. America is still a great place. and we need to get back to being great. Because if America is not the standard, the other options, it's kind of scary. With the other, if the other superpowers, China, all those boys come into dominance, it's not going to be very pretty. And I think it's going to take a lot of people. You're going to realize before. I mean, I hope you realize before it's too late. But life's going to be a lot different. And so, when you stop making enemies of one another, come together. I urge you, be proud to be American. Everyone else is proud to be whoever they are. You think in China, nationalism is being pushed? Look at Russia. They're pushing nationalism, right? The people that are there still. All these other countries. That's why I love the World Cup, man. The World Cup was such a sick time. I felt like people kind of rallied around the team, man. Things are going to be all right. Well, I appreciate you guys for joining today, episode 11, or episode 10. Today's episode 10. I kind of rambled all over the place, but I think it was good. I want to make some progress. I guess 11 and 12, right? So that'll be 3 months. The next 2 episodes will be 3 months. We got to make some progress. I'm still in school. If we don't make progress yet, it doesn't mean it's over. We're still working on it. We're going to get better. Believe it. All right. Thank you guys for joining. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you next week. Risk it for the biscuit. Have a great week. Peace.